All right, welcome to Social 5 University. This is Jeremiah Stetler, Chief Content Officer, and Kate Drake, Managing Editor at Social 5. We'll be walking you through a fun webinar today on social faux pas. It's super fun. Excited to talk about some of the lessons learned here. And grateful to welcome Kate Drake back. We had a wonderful webinar just 2 weeks ago on email marketing. And some of you have reached out, built your email list, and reached out with some questions there that have been really great. So thank you for that. So without further ado, we'll pass it over to Kate Drake for our webinar today.
All right, thanks for joining, everybody. So like Jeremiah said, we're going to talk about today some lessons learned on social media. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to talk to our CEO, Rob Wellman, about this topic, but one of his favorite sayings is that social media is a weapon of mass destruction if it's used incorrectly. And that's something we really believe in here. We want to make sure that you have the tools you need so that you're not making a big blunder that's going to put your business in jeopardy. So with no further ado, we're kind of going to go through and talk about some social media fails. I do want to give a caveat here that, none of these businesses meant any harm by doing these things. They're mistakes. They didn't mean any ill will or, it was purely an accident. They're just kind of out of touch. And so I don't want it to seem like we're making fun of them or speaking critically of them. It's more that we're analyzing what they've done, and we want to be able to learn from their mistakes so that we don't make the same ones. So with no further ado, we'll kind of move forward here. Oh, Jeremiah, what am I doing wrong? I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. So I want to take a quick moment and have a little history lesson here. So back in sorry guys, there we go. Back in 1997, Reebok introduced the Incubus running shoe, and this is just kind of to show that social marketing blunders are nothing new. Anybody have any idea why this might be a problem, or some of you might remember this happening? Trouble is that Incubus is in mythology a male demon believed to have sexual intercourse with sleeping women. So not exactly the image you want to conjure for a women's running shoe, right? So they had to recall several thousand boxes of these shoes a few months later when a news story revealed that the name, had this mythological connotation. And the thing that I found interesting about this particular case is they'd originally shipped about 53,000 pairs of these shoes. By the time they figured this out a few months later, did the recall and everything, there were only about 18,000 pairs remaining in stores. So think about that, how something like that would happen today, and how, would we still have several months later that it would take to figure this out, or would we know more quickly? And that's what I want to talk about. What has changed since this came out in 1997? Social media allows for feedback pretty much instantly. So, the minute these came out on sale today, people would be on social media and you would start seeing the tweets come in, and you would immediately know that you'd made a mistake. And so that's part of what we're going to talk about today, is that social media has just allowed these errors to be magnified so much because it goes so quickly now, and we have that immediate connection with our clients. So the first thing I want to talk about is watching out for jargon. And this kind of goes back to the Incubus running shoe, right? So we're going to go through some examples here of different companies that have made these mistakes and what we can learn from them. So Hostess thought it had hit a home run with this post that they were going to come up with for the opening day of Major League Baseball. This just happened earlier this month. Everybody's excited for opening day and everything, right? Baseball fans. They've got these great cupcakes that look like little baseballs. Only trouble is the wording at the bottom. I don't know if you guys can all see that very well, but it says touchdown. Not a baseball term. They struck out on this one, definitely. So the lesson learned is always check your lingo to make sure that you actually mean what you're saying. Be especially careful of technical terms or industry-specific jargon. If someone at Hostess had just run this by the office sports fan, they totally would have noticed and gone like, no, you can't put that up. It needs to say home run, not touchdown, right? And so, just getting that second set of eyes or running it past someone who's an expert is a great idea. We especially see this also in technical terms where people think that they understand what they're talking about on Facebook or something like that, and they'll throw out a term and not realize that it means something different than what they originally thought. So just if you're using any type of technical jargon or anything, make sure you really double check it and make sure it means what you think it means. Next up, don't ask for criticism. We hear a lot about in social media trolling and everything. And I want to emphasize that there are enough trolls out there that you'll get criticism without asking for it. So this is a recent campaign by SeaWorld. They have been facing a lot of criticism lately after the documentary Blackfish came out. I don't know if any of you have seen that. It's a movie that kind of examines kind of some of the practices at SeaWorld and makes a case that, SeaWorld treats its animals inhumanely and that basically needs to be closed down. So in response to this, SeaWorld started this hashtag Ask SeaWorld. What could possibly go wrong, right? Well, we started to see tons of people hopping in and heaping criticism on SeaWorld. Why is it that you give your guests more parking space than your dolphins to live? If mother-calf bond is valued at your parks, why have you separated these calves from their mothers? Do you feel you're morally entitled to kidnap and imprison living social beings? These are just a few of the thousands and thousands of tweets that came in with this hashtag Ask SeaWorld. It was a really bad failure for them. So, and I've included here, this is another meme that someone put together. I miss my family, photos going everywhere and stuff. So lesson learned, Twitter Q&A forums are just a bad idea. Your critics don't need an invitation to blast your company, so don't give them one. People are going to find a way to complain if they have a complaint with your company, whether you ask for it or not. So, I know these Q&A things can seem like a really great idea, but they often tend to backfire. So there's something to really be aware of. Know your hashtags. So one of my favorite brands to follow is DiGiorno Pizza. I don't know and I don't even eat DiGiorno Pizza, but their social media accounts are hilarious. And so there's someone I'd highly recommend following. So they're really good at staying on top of what the trending hashtags are. And they look every day and see what's trending, and they write tweets about them. So DiGiorno tweeted this funny quip here. Hashtag why I stayed. You had pizza. Seems like a good reason to say. Everybody likes pizza, right? Well, the problem is, this was a trending hashtag, but DiGiorno didn't bother to find out why it was trending. Turns out why I stayed was a hashtag going around to raise awareness about domestic violence. And so a lot of the tweets were very heartfelt and very, revealing very sensitive things about different women and why they had stayed in these abusive relationships. And to tweet out, you had pizza, it really downplays all the complex emotional turmoil that these women were going through and trying to explain the domestic violence experience. So lesson learned, make sure you know the context and meaning of any hashtag that you use, especially if they're trending. I say especially if they're trending because that means that they're going to be going out there in that trending sphere and more people are going to see them if it's a trending hashtag. So just make sure before you tweet something that you know why that hashtag is going around and why it's popular right now. It may have a different meaning than what you think. This is a funny one. So monitor who has access to your account. You want to be sure that you know who's using your account. So I don't know if any of you have heard of HMV. It's a big entertainment company. They sell things like CDs and movies and stuff like that. in malls across Canada and Britain, and I think there's a few stores here in the United States. But anyway, they had some big layoffs a few months back. And obviously nobody likes layoffs. That's very depressing. But the problem is they forgot to remove who had access to their social media while they were laying people off. So we ended up seeing these tweets come across, the marketing director asking how to shut down Twitter. They're live tweeting essentially from the HR office being fired. They're saying there are over 60 of us being fired at once. Mass exodus of employees who love the brand. And they've got these, HMV X Factor firing and things like that going on. And they're essentially live tweeting as people are let go. So lesson learned, closely monitor who has access to your social media accounts. And be sure you change your passwords if you have any sort of turnover or anything. You don't want a disgruntled employee to be able to come back and post as you on social media. I think that's what's so hurtful here is, if a disgruntled employee comes back and posts as themselves on your Facebook page, people understand like, oh, they're just a disgruntled employee. But when it looks like you're the one posting it, it can be really bad. And a lot of companies rely on that, oh, our account got hacked kind of thing. And even if it's true, it shows that you don't have control of your brand. So really make sure you monitor, who has access to those accounts, make sure it's people that you trust. And also change your passwords if you need to when you have someone leave who you think might, basically anytime you have someone leave, even if you don't think they would be a disgruntled employee. Don't promote your competition. This is an important one. So we've got this really nice post here from BlackBerry promoting their new smartphone. BlackBerry, it's kind of struggled recently and is trying to kind of have a comeback, a new renaissance with their new smartphones. Anybody notice the problem here? It's kind of small. The tweet came out from an iPhone. So they're promoting their new BlackBerry phone and talking about how wonderful it is, but clearly they don't use it themselves. They're using an iPhone, and it says right down at the bottom, via Twitter for iPhone. So that's something to be aware of. Social media can betray you even when you think you're being sneaky. So be sure you're using your product on social media. You don't want to be the person who has employees taking selfie, your Coca-Cola, and you have pictures of your employees with Pepsi cans on your social media channels, right? So be really careful on that. If you use a product, make sure that you're using it and not a competitor. Because you don't want to give them any free publicity. How sad is that people look at this and go, oh my gosh, BlackBerry can't even send a tweet on their own phone. They have to use the competitor, they have to use an iPhone. All right, know your history. So American Apparel recently shared this photo on their Tumblr page. Anybody recognize it? It came up with, you can see the hashtags are just smoke and clouds. It's kind of a cool photo. Looks interesting. Here's the problem. It's a picture of the Challenger shuttle exploding in space and killing everyone on board. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this happening. I was about 3 years old, I think, when it happened. So which I guess tells you how old I am. But so I have a vague memory of this. I wouldn't recognize this photo. And the employee who posted it didn't either. American Apparel immediately took the picture down and said, we're really sorry. The person who posted this was born after this happened. They had no clue that it was something more than just cool smoke clouds. But the lesson learned, be sure, double check your post to assure that they don't have any insensitive or political sensitivity. You want to be, this is especially important if you have younger people doing your social media. A lot of them may not know the context or of the sayings or images that you're posting. I mean, think about things like Civil Rights Day or, Martin Luther King kind of things. Or, I've seen people post different things where they thought it was a cool photo and it was something of the Kennedy assassination or things like that. So, some of these younger folks that we have running our social media channels sometimes just don't know the context that these come in. And this is something that we've really tried to combat here at Social 5 by using a photo library. We have a licensed photo library that has tags for all of the photos inside. And that helps us know that, here's the historical event that this portrays or whatever, and maybe you shouldn't use it. So if we had looked for smoke and clouds, we would have found a stock image that didn't have political emotional ramifications like this. Don't capitalize on tragedy. This is probably the biggest take-home message I could give you guys from this webinar. Nothing will hurt your brand like trying to capitalize on a tragedy. Please just don't do it. So here's a prime example. This is Epicurious, the morning of the Boston Marathon bombing, after the bombing had happened. So they say, in honor of Boston and New England, may we suggest whole grain cranberry scones. Boston, our hearts are with you. Here's a bowl of breakfast energy we could all use to start today. So they're using this tragedy to highlight recipes that they want to tweet out every day. And Epicurious is a great site. They have great recipes. I've used them before. But they ended up having 7 of these tweets go out that morning. This is just 2 of them here. And the problem is that the recipes are fine, but the tweets come across as so heartless and insensitive and self-promotional. Obviously they're trying to say that their hearts are with Boston, but they just need to say our hearts are with you and leave out the whole recipe idea, right? Here's another great example. Super Poor Taste by AT&T. They sent out this tweet, never forget, on the anniversary of September 11th. Well, the tweet itself is fine. Never forget that, we don't want to forget this giant tragedy that has affected our country. But you don't put your new phone with a, retina display photo on it as part of the tweet. So lesson learned, it's great to post a heartfelt message of love and support during a time of tragedy. In fact, I'd almost encourage it, but it's not okay to use it as a marketing opportunity. Don't ever include your logo or mention your product or put up a picture of something that has your brand in the corner. But it's fine to say, our hearts are with everyone in Boston today. We're really thinking of you and praying for you. Something like that is totally fine, but don't stick your brand into it. All right. So in conclusion, all of us make mistakes. It happens to everybody. A lot of these brands didn't mean to harm anyone by doing these different mistakes, but their carelessness has caused considerable damage to their brand. Play it safe and follow these tips so that you can avoid an epic fail. You don't want to end up on the BuzzFeed list of most epic social media fails of all time. So with that said, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. Anybody have anything they'd like to ask?
All right, and then just as for those of you who are new on this webinar, on your dashboard on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a place where you can enter your questions there, and feel free to ask whatever you would like. All right, so first one here. Oh. Would Kate like brownies?
Always.
So
always, yeah.
We always have the Coke and popcorn tradition, at Social 5 University. In fact, if those of you who may have heard the crash at the beginning of this webinar, it was the popcorn bowl taking a spill. Okay, but brownies are always wonderful. Thank you, Mary. Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, and it sounds like we are having some problems with audio syncing, and let me look into that so that next week we don't have the same issues. It could have something to do with an external microphone that we have been using to improve the sound quality. We did have a little bit of syncing problem last week. Let me look and see if we can resolve that this week. So thank you so much.
Oh, here's one. Okay, this is a good question. So someone's asking about the hostess tweet with the baseball cupcakes and touchdown. How do we know that they didn't do that on purpose? That they weren't trying to go viral? And I guess that is always a possibility. If that was their goal, they did it very badly because it's going to go viral for all the wrong reasons, right? And that's something that we find a lot of in these social faux pas is that it's something that people have tried to capitalize on something, or they're, it sounds like a great idea in the marketing meeting where they go, oh, this will totally go viral, it'll be awesome or whatever, and then it just falls flat on its face. So that's that. If that was Hostess's goal, it didn't work very well. I really don't think it was. I think it was just that some well-meaning person thought, oh, sports, let's put together a graphic for sports, baseball, yay. And they just didn't know that much about sports and put the wrong term in. So yeah, that's my take on it. I don't think they meant to. Any other questions?
Good. It looks like that was our last question for the day. Let me just check something real quick if we can, for those of you who are on the line. I'm going to try just syncing the microphone with something a little bit different, and I want to see how that works for you. If you could bear with me for a moment. All right, check. If you could, on your dashboard, if you could raise your hand if that has made any difference in terms of syncing the video with the audio, that'd be great. So raise your hand if it's better than it was before. Okay, and maybe not there. Okay, so I'm seeing a few people where it does appear to be a little bit better than it was before. So we'll work on that between now and the next session. Again, if you do have any questions for us or topics you would like touched on for Social 5 University, please let us know, and we're happy to help out. So thanks again for those of you who joined today. It's been a great session, and we will talk to you later on.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.